Party ribs are everywhere, but almost nobody shows you how to make them on a Weber kettle. And using Vortex, that's a whole different challenge. The Vortex takes up the center of the grill, making the braising step much harder than I expected. I had to battle flare-ups and make a few adjustments along the way. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to cook party ribs on a Weber kettle with a Vortex and avoid the mistakes I made. Welcome back to Backyard Pit Lab. I'm Jansen, and today we're cooking some party ribs. We're starting with a couple racks of St. Louis ribs. After trimming a few fatty spots and removing the membrane, cut between each bone to turn them into individual ribs. That's what makes these party ribs. They cook faster, pick up more bark, and give you plenty of surface area for seasoning. Once they're cut, coat every side with your favorite barbecue rub. Now it's time to set up the Weber kettle. I'm placing the Vortex in the center and filling it with a full chimney of lit charcoal. Before the ribs go on, I like to put my smoking wood on first so it has a chance to ignite and start producing a clean smoke. As it heats up, it's time to get these party ribs around the outside of the kettle. With the lid on, I'm starting with the top vent at the 12 o'clock position, directly opposite of the handle, and both the top and bottom vents are about halfway open. After 20 minutes, I rotate the lid to the 6 o'clock position. I lifted the lid to make sure everything was cooking evenly, but looking back, opening the lid this often may have fed the fire more oxygen than it needed. Another 20 minutes later, I rotate the lid to the 9 o'clock position, and everything still looks great. Let's do 20 minutes at the 9 o'clock. Still half open. It's reading at 350 still. So we'll keep it open right here. So it's been 15 minutes. I noticed it got really hot. 172, 176. I think it's time to flip it. Before flipping the ribs, I closed the top and bottom vents to choke down the fire. I just had that feeling opening the lid over a blazing hot vortex could cause some flare-ups. When I flip the ribs, I'm actually doing two things. First, I flip them over so the grate side is now facing up. I also rotate each rib 180 degrees so the side that was closest to the vortex is now facing the outside of the grill. That helps everything cook and color more evenly. As I started flipping the ribs, I ran into my first flare-up. Even with the vents closed, the combination of rendered fat dripping down and having the lid open was enough to get the fire going. But instead of pulling the ribs off the grill, I decided to leave them in place and get the lid back on as quickly as possible. With both vents still closed, my hope was that the fire would choke itself out. Once the flames were out, it was time to pull the ribs off the grill and get them into the braising pan. I'm keeping it simple here as usual. Butter, brown sugar, and your favorite barbecue sauce. That's all you need for a rich, sticky glaze while the ribs finish braising. They're temping. They're pretty much done anyway. 199. 201. But now came the part I wasn't sure would work on a Vortex. Normally the Vortex sits right in the center of the kettle to distribute heat evenly. The problem is that's exactly where I needed to put the braising pan. Leaving the Vortex in the middle wasn't an option. The pan would end up sitting over direct heat, and the Vortex simply runs too hot for that. I slid a spatula between the grill grates and used it carefully to push the Vortex off the center. It gave me just enough room to squeeze the braising pan onto the grate. I had to stack the pans on top of each other because there's only so much room on a 22-inch Weber kettle. To keep the cooking as even as possible, I swapped the bottom pan to the top after about 15 minutes. After another 15 minutes, it was time to put the ribs back onto the grill. I opened both vents to crank up the heat and help the sauce tack up. Looking back, that was my biggest mistake. If I were doing this again, I'd leave the vents closed until all the ribs were back on the grate. Oh yeah. It's super tender. Let's see what it's temping at. 173. That's like butter. 176. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull it off. I actually want this Vortex to get going again to set the glaze. Move this over here to the center. By about 3 ribs in, I realized what was happening and closed both vents again. But by then, the fire had already gotten the oxygen it needed and the flare-up was underway. See what I mean? It's flaring back up. Control that flame. Ooh. My first priority was getting as many ribs away from the flames. Once they were out of direct heat, I put the lid back on to choke the fire. This cook has been crazy. With the flare-up under control, I had another problem. Keeping the vents closed smothered the fire, but it also trapped dirty smoke inside the kettle. I reopened the vents to let the smoke clear before finishing the cook. After another 5 to 10 minutes, the sauce was set and the cook was finished. Just 2 hours from start to finish. The ribs look fantastic, but I still had one question. Could they actually compete with my traditional rib recipe? We'll find out. This was one of my craziest cooked because I honestly wasn't sure if I was able to control the flare up and figure out how to braise the ribs with the Vortex method. But I think these turned out great. I'm ready to try it out. Let's go. Yeah, that's good. I mean, some of it definitely got charred. Yeah, not dry at all. This is perfectly moist. The cook was 2 hours. I mean, fantastic. This might be my go-to on how to cook ribs from now on. And it's already sliced. Let me show you guys one of these beautiful ribs here. I mean, look at that. That is just perfect. Just in time for 4th of July.